When I Have Fears by John Keats. When I have fears that I may cease to be, before my pen has gleaned my teeming brain,
2 + 2 is 4.
before high-piled books and carrick tree hold like rich garners the full ripened grain, when I behold upon the night's starred face
Twinkle, twinkle.
huge cloudy symbols of a high romance, and think that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance.
Expecto Patronum.
And when I feel, fair creature of an hour, that I shall never look upon thee more, never have relish in the fairy power of unreflecting love, then on the shore of the wide world I stand alone and think, till love and fame to nothingness do sink.
I'll never let go, Jack. So, John Keats, we learned as we started researching the poem that his family was actually all plagued with some different diseases, and they were all very close to death, if not dead already. And his brother died a few years after the poem, as well as some other relatives after it was written. So we think that kind of the fear of death came from his past life, and how he might be scared of death because everyone else in his family is going to die, and then he's the only one left.
Yeah.
I think it's also important that he also died 3 years later after the poem, so it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it feels like his life, there was always like a fear of death in his life and in his family, and I'm not sure like why this happened or why it was exactly like that his family was so unfortunate in being diseased, but I think that's important because it's his major problem, and that's why he decides to write poetry about it.
Yeah, the major theme of the poem is that he is scared of death and that death is approaching. And I think that for most people, they're not truly afraid of death unless that it's coming towards them fast, like they know it's coming. And I think that's what happened with John Keats, and that's what inspired the poem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. And it's pretty easy to find out when reading the poem that it's about death and about a fear of death. He kind of says it in the first line, but it's going in a little deeper than it. He kind of points out that feels like he won't be able to do what he wants to accomplish in his life in his short lifespan, and that's why he's fearing death, because he feels like his potential will be cut short, and he won't be able to like become a profound writer, as in fame. He mentions fame, or love too. He's mentioning how he won't be able to find true love, and that's problematic for him.
He discusses more of like how he's not going to reach his full potential, especially in line 3 and 4, where he's talking about before high-piled books and carrick tree hold like rich gardeners the full ripened grain. So it's more like, I don't know, Brett, you had a better point about that.
Yeah, so he was saying, like, basically that he's not going to be able to experience everything he can from these books. These books kind of represent, like, the knowledge that he could potentially learn, and because he feels like, you know, there's only a limited time left for him, he's not going to be able to fully experience, like, his education. And the books kind of just show that there's a lot of knowledge out there, but he won't be able to, you know, learn all that he wants to because death is imminent.
So another important metaphor through the poem starts at line 7 and it goes to line 8. And it starts with, "And think that I may never live to trace their shadows with the magic hand of chance." And it's pretty simple. It's talking, like the other metaphors, about how he wishes he had the time to live the life he wants for himself, and how he really wants to follow in the footsteps of the people that he looks up to in life, and that he wished that he basically led their life. And that's where he says, "And I may never live to trace their shadows." So it's kind of just like following the footsteps of the people before him, and how he'll never get to live the life that he really wanted because there's no time.
We also analyzed the sound of the poem, and it's in almost perfect iambic pentameter. There, aside from a few like pauses and an added syllable here and there, it kind of gives the piece a sing-songy feel. But it's important because it's like it gives it a more personal background, and it's more like he's speaking to someone instead of just like writing a poem. It's more like addressing the public, like, this is how I feel, and it's a lot more personal than a regular poem in different meter would be.
Another interesting point or line in the poem is line 12, and it says of unreflecting love. Then on the shore, and the first part of unreflecting love is kind of important because it's talking more about how he doesn't just want the fairy tale love. He wants the whole thing with the hardships, the ups and downs, and that's why it's unreflecting, because it's not looking at the perfect picture of it. It's showing what's actually there in a real relationship.
Yeah, and it's also like a one-way street. We kind of feel like he's giving something in but not getting something back, and it's kind of an interesting aspect of what he wants in his relationship, because that's not what you would presume for someone that's looking for love.